So I think all humans have a natural curiosity when it comes to sexual exploits. I was recently asked a question that I hesitated to answer. What was the most salacious experience of your entire life? And I remember pausing for a minute and saying, I might answer that question just as soon as I look up the definition of salacious. Google defines salacious as appealing or arousing to sexual desire or sexual fantasy. So, you know, I'm a relatively private person when it comes to amorous activities, and this is not the kind of information that I'm comfortable disclosing. But having said that, I thought I would disclose the most salacious experience of my life to all of you tonight on stage at the Cain's Ballroom. The most salacious experience of my life was a party where a partner swapping game took place. This party took place when I was in 8th grade, and that game was called Spin the Bottle. So it all started the winter of 1978. One Saturday morning, I was watching the American Bandstand, and the phone rang. It was for me, and for the first time in my life, the caller was a girl. So privacy was needed. Luckily, the only phone in our house had a cord that was so long you could carry it to any room in the house and shut the door. So privacy problem solved. A classmate named Carla had called to invite me to a party that night. My dad drove me to that party. I was still too young to drive. I was 14. My dad drove me to that party that night in our family's Ford Pinto and dropped me off. The party was at the apartment of a young couple that were youth directors at our church. And not only were they hosting, but they were acting as chaperones. They were maybe 19 and 20 years old, so if you think about it, they were only 5 or 6 years older than the kids that they were watching. I remember I walked into the party that night. I was handed a glass of Pepsi that was poured from a glass returnable bottle. There was a vinyl record on the turntable playing the disco stylings of the Bee Gees. The girls donned bell-bottom jeans, Converse sneakers, and feathered bangs. The boys donned bell-bottom jeans, Converse sneakers, and feathered bangs. Bangs that could only be maintained by the use of a really big plastic comb that lived in one's back pocket, remember? We all looked like members of the Partridge Family. So we all sat in a circle on the shag-carpeted rug with that newly emptied Pepsi bottle in the middle. Someone would spin the bottle, and the rules stated you must kiss the kid of the opposite sex closest to which that bottle was pointing. So the game began innocently enough. The girls excited, the boys reluctant. Somebody would spin the bottle, followed by a short smack on the lips. It went on for a few rounds, but shortly into the game, the adult chaperones interrupted, and I remember thinking, thank God the adults are going to put a stop to this juvenile debauchery. But here's where it gets a little strange. The adults were not interrupting to stop the game. They were interrupting to criticize our technique. According to the adults, we were doing it wrong. These kisses are too short. A real kiss needs to be long. Also, a real kiss involves touching tongues during the kiss. They said it's called a French kiss. Well, ooh la la, mon chéri. So then the adults even demonstrated on each other, so we could get a visual. And I know this sounds creepy that the adults would be conducting a kissing class for 14-year-olds, but you need to understand, 14-year-olds don't understand creepy. We were just there to learn. So after a few more rounds with the new technique, oh my God. something woke up in me. Something woke up in all of us. This kissing activity that I thought I didn't need or want suddenly became something I really needed and wanted. We all felt like we were getting a little taste of adulthood that night. And to me, adulthood tasted like Bonnie Bell lip gloss. So I returned home that night from this teen kissing orgy in a state of dizzying delight. I had a hard time falling asleep that night. I felt like I had just done something really grown up, and I was anxious to brag about it at school. I was ready to literally kiss and tell. So the next week at school, my friends would say, so there was kissing at this party? I said, oh. I said it was more than just kissing. I said it was long kissing with tongues. I said it was grown-up kissing. I said you wouldn't understand. I said I think it's called oral sex. Because no adult had the guts to correct me, I continued to misuse those words throughout my entire adolescence. Because to a 14-year-old, what else could it possibly mean? I remember one night at the dinner table, my parents were irritated because one of my older sisters was late. And I said, well, I know this much. I said, if she's with her boyfriend, they're probably doing the oral sex. And after saying that at the dinner table, here's what my parents did. Absolutely nothing. They remained silent because think about it. To correct me would have required that they explain the actual meaning, and they sure as hell weren't going to do that. So their idea of responsible parenting was to just let it go on a little while longer. A friend, not an adult, a friend named Tommy Hurd finally told me the actual meaning, and you can imagine my surprise. But my adolescent ignorance continued because for a long time, I thought that oral sex could result in pregnancy. Because why else would there be something called an oral contraceptive? So, after that party in the winter of 1978, I went to a lot more parties after that, but much to my disappointment, a game of spin the bottle never broke out again. But I'm still hoping. Because I think it would be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Salacious, thank you. Thank you.